I am 18, didn't kiss my girlfriend F17 yet, so a bit of background information. I've known my girlfriend for 4 months now. When we first met, she asked me if I wanted to go to the movies with her. We were friends the whole time and I developed feelings for her. Around a month ago I confessed my feelings for her and she told me that she likes me too. We hung out a lot, I even slept over at her place, but there was no physical contact in the romance/sexual aspect. But she doesn't shy away from closeness. We can be sitting next to each other with no distance between us. She playfully hits me, touches me, etc. She always writes to me. Usually she starts conversations first thing in the morning. We met up all the time, stayed up late with each other. We got really close. About a week and a half ago I asked her if she's ready for a relationship. I said that I really enjoy spending time with her and her company. She said yes, she'll be my girlfriend. We met up after that. I gifted her flowers and chocolate, which she really enjoyed. We hung out, talked, did the usual. We met up a few times afterwards but I realized nothing's changed. I didn't hug her, we don't hold hands, I did not even kiss her yet. All that after she said that she wants to be my girlfriend. I think my problem is that I don't want to make things uncomfortable for her and that's why I don't want to make a move. Sometimes I feel like doing but then I chicken out. I wonder if she's waiting for me to do something, or if she doesn't want me to do anything. How do I muster up the courage to kiss her? Please, I need tips. Accidentally slapped my new coworker's ass. This happened years ago, but something just made me remember this and I figured I'd share this little story. Our office had a layout where most of it was just a hallway with 2 desk rooms along the way. My manager was sharing a room with the newest hire. I was walking down the hallway to tell her something, and stood in the doorway as we were talking. I'm a pretty animated guy and had high anxiety at the time, so I would make a lot of gestures when excited about something. In the middle of our conversation, the new coworker needed to walk back in. Problem, she came up behind me, so I didn't see her approaching. Then, instead of asking me to move over, she decided to squeeze in behind my back. I was standing in a way where one half of my body was in the room and the other half in the hallway, sort of perpendicular to the doorway. She also decided to squeeze by with her back facing my back. So as I'm waving my arms around telling my manager something, I move my arm down and plant a proper good slap right on her butt. Luckily no one misinterpreted this accident and we all just had a good laugh about it. Worried I may have fathered a child abroad 10 years ago. I, 30M, can't shake something that happened about 10 years ago. When I was in college, I took a trip to Ecuador with a couple friends. On our last night in a small town, I met a woman at a bar and we went back to my hostel together. We were both pretty drunk, and while we were doing the deed the condom came off. We were both like, yikes, but didn't decide what to do in the moment. The next morning we exchanged numbers, she left, and I got on a bus to head back to the city where we were flying out. On that bus my phone was stolen, so I lost her number and any way to contact her. I searched for her but only knew her first name. Then my next semester of college started and the whole situation faded into the background. Now it's a decade later and this still randomly haunts me. My friends, to my deep irritation and shame, sometimes joke that there's a mixed kid with big ears running around South America somewhere. She said she was from Argentina. I have big ears. Logically, I know the chances I have a child out there are very low. Even if she did get pregnant, I doubt that she would have had it. But if I did somehow father a child, of course I want to know. Part of me has wondered if I should go into detective mode, but I'm not sure if that's 1, realistic, 2, worth what would probably be a ton of effort just to find out nothing happened, or 3, ethical. If she did have a child, she may not want me tracking her down or getting involved after all these years. I got fired from a job I never actually worked. I, 23M, applied for a remote position last year. The onboarding was chaotic, everything was through email, and they somehow forgot to assign me to a team. I waited, asked around, no response. So I figured I'd chill until someone noticed. 3 months passed. I was getting paid every 2 weeks, no tasks, no meetings, no contact. I started treating it like free Ubi. I traveled, gamed, lived my best life. Then last week, HR finally emailed saying your performance has not met expectations. I laughed out loud. Performance? I literally hadn't logged into a company system once. They fired me and sent a severance check. I didn't even bother replying. They paid me nearly $20,000 to do nothing. I feel a bit guilty. But also like I beat the system for once. I'm homeless and no one knows. I've been homeless for 13 months now. I've slept in the park, in a library, on the train, and just once on someone's couch. I survive off minimal government assistance and here and there odd jobs. No one realizes I'm homeless until I actually spell it out for them. When I meet people and I feel like they're trustworthy, I let them know. It's usually a mutually beneficial relationship. I'm a talkative person with lots in my past, and people help me out with favors or gifts. But it gets annoying. I can't hold down a full-time job. Everything I need to survive I am lugging in a 40-pounds backpack. Keeping clean and neat-looking means that I rely on opening hours of public faculties, library/parks bathrooms, to wipe myself clean and charge my phone/battery bank. Well, those are the same hours that a regular job would normally be. I may have a shot at a change. A guy I know works in a small 24/7 supermarket and might get me an overnight shift working there. Minimum wage, but I can invert my schedule, sleep/clean/charge during the day at the library and work at night. Would actually be advantageous in my situation. Everyone, take care of yourselves and be mindful of your mental health. 2 years ago I was stable and making good money. Now I am on the street. It only takes a few mistakes for everything to fall apart. Be well. The time I quit my job mid-shift and walked out. 8 years ago I was working a customer service job that already had me burned out, but one day my boss screamed at me in front of customers over something that wasn't even my fault. Something in me just snapped. I took off my apron, handed it to him and said I'm done, then I walked straight out the door and never looked back. Didn't even go back for my final paycheck. It sounds impulsive, but it was one of the most freeing, empowering things I've ever done. Up until that moment I thought I had to just take it and that quitting mid-shift was unprofessional, but honestly that day taught me there's a line between being dedicated and being disrespected. I was playing Jackpot City earlier and thought about how that single decision changed my whole mindset about self-worth. It's wild how one moment of courage can stick with you for nearly a decade. Still one of the best choices I've ever made. I Pavloved my ex. I used to have a BF that had acne, nothing too crazy, but as someone who loves watching those spa pimple popping videos I would always want to pick at his face a little. He hated when I would try to pop his pimples and never wanted to sit still for me, so eventually I came up with the idea to offer him head in exchange for letting me pop them. We would do 15 minutes of pimple popping for 15 minutes of head and he loved it. He actually started asking me to pop his pimples to get more head by randomly saying 15? Whenever we were just hanging out watching TV or about to go to sleep. Eventually it got to the point where he would start getting hard whenever I would start popping his pimples because his body knew what would come next, lol. Recently I hung out with this ex again to catch up and he brought it up and he said how now whenever he tries to pop his own pimples he gets a boner because I conditioned him to associate getting his pimples popped to getting head. I pretended to hate my neighbor's cooking for 4 years. Because her husband confided in me that it was the only joy she had. 4 years ago my neighbor, 70s, very sweet, started bringing me food every Sunday because you're too skinny to live alone. Her cooking was aggressively experimental. Paper dry meat, mysterious spice combos, soups that tasted like wet socks. One night her husband pulled me aside outside and said, "Thank you for pretending to like her food. She lost her sense of purpose after retirement. Cooking keeps her alive." So I doubled down. I hyped every dish like it was Michelin level. She would beam every time. It became this whole ritual. She'd hand me a plastic container, I'd compliment her seasoning, she'd blush and wave me off. Fast forward to last month. Her husband had a mild stroke. They changed his diet, and she's too overwhelmed to cook. The meal stopped. And I realized something. I actually miss them. Not the food, hell no, but the weird warmth of it. It felt like someone was caring about me in their own clumsy way. I want to check in on her, but I feel like if I ask for food again it'll come off insulting, and if I don't, I'll seem ungrateful. So I've been silently grieving the world's worst lasagna. Have you ever experienced love at first sight? For me it was in 5th grade. A new kid come to our school and we were in line to go to specials, art, music, or gym. I was in music like he was in art line. We were in different classes. I'm in my early 20s now and never up to this point have I felt such a feeling in my life. We looked at each other at the very same time. For me the world instantly went silent and suddenly I felt like a deep pain in my chest, like my heart stopped or something. And everything was moving slow and all I could see was him. I've had sex with many people as an adult OFC, met some famous people who I've once idolized as a child, been in relationships, and nothing, not a single moment in my life have I ever felt like how I felt that day I looked at his boy in 5th grade. We did become friends but I never made a move on him or anything because being friends was good enough. I didn't want to risk not being friends. I moved in 7th grade, never seen him since. He shows up on my FB as an adult, he's just as I remember him. But anyway, anyone ever experienced this feeling? Is it love? What is it if not? A bus driver waited for an elderly woman today and it honestly stuck with me. I was on the bus this morning and the driver was already a little behind schedule. Right as he was about to pull away, he noticed an elderly woman slowly making her way toward the stop. Instead of leaving, he waited. Not just a few seconds, he waited a full 5 minutes. Other passengers started grumbling under their breath. You could feel that quiet irritation people get when their routine is disrupted by anything unexpected. But the driver just said that's somebody's grandma. We can wait. The woman finally got on board, thanked him, and he told her to take her time finding a seat. And the whole vibe of the bus shifted for a moment. You don't see that kind of patience very often anymore. Later when I was trying to play a few rounds of Jackpot City I kept thinking about that simple line, that's somebody's grandma. It really made me realize how often we treat schedules and efficiency as if they're more important than actual people. She told me why she refuses help. And her answer broke me completely. I walk the same street almost every day, and I see all kinds of people. But there is one woman I always notice. An older woman. Tough. Independent. The type who hates being helped. One day I finally approached her and said, "Please, let me help you." The next morning, police showed up at my place. She had reported me. After days of explaining, she eventually dropped the complaint. But I couldn't stop thinking about it. So the next time I saw her, I asked the same question again. Why don't you ever accept help? This time she went silent. The next morning, I saw her again and asked her the same question. She looked me dead in the eyes and said, "I will tell you. But don't repeat this to anyone." I nodded. She said, "My son. People have given me a helping hand since the day I was born. For 50 years I survived because someone was always holding me up. 10 years ago, my husband died. He was the last person who ever supported me. And when he was gone, everything ended. The house, the money, everything. I fell straight into nothing." She paused and continued. "So I taught myself to stop accepting help. I wanted to restart my life from zero, the way young people do, but I was already 50. I didn't want to depend on anyone ever again. I needed to feel life with my own hands." Then she looked at me and said softly, "The person you're trying to help is a woman learning how to live without being carried. That woman is me." I didn't know what to say. It changed something in me. If you were in my position, would you ask her again if she needed help? Or would you respect her decision and walk away?